Hello, everybody. How are you? I am back again, and I'm sorry I didn't make it on Sunday. It was so funny. I was sitting there saying, I just don't feel good, and I couldn't figure out why. Finally, oh, it's asthma. But I just felt like I had no energy. Like if I could just lay my head down, I would feel better. But anyway, it is so good to see all of you. And there is Lisa. Oh, I've got to check. I don't know if I've seen the latest Jody, but that would be fun to check out. And while Lisa is chitting chatting, I thought that I would show you. Lisa said, okay, we are, Lisa and I think some others of you might be working on English paper piecing, which is one of my very new favorite loves. And this is the was this one 80 or 60? I forget. But it was a lot of pieces, but English paper piecing makes it so simple. So let me drop down my curtain. The sun is getting low enough in the sky that it's kind of coming in and irritating stuff. But anyway, so I finished this one and I've already cut out this was block 10. I've already cut out and glued all of the pieces. Now look at, oh, I see. That's coming in from my door over there. Well, we might just have to deal with that. Hopefully it won't be there long. But I've already cut out um, the fabric and used a little glue stick and glued on to the English paper piecing. See, I have cardstock in the back. So I have enjoyed that so much. There's Melton. I'm so tickled to see her. I've been having some really good in-depth chats with her. And I told her we've all missed her terribly. So I'm so tickled to see her. So this is wonderful. And understand it's probably 2 a.m. over in Turkey where she is from. So this is quite special. And I think I have about 13 photos from her. So we'll do a little show and tell at the end of this. But how good to see her. And oh, there's Lisa and Jody's here and Debbie and Joni. Hi, Joni, sweetie. Oh, it's so good to Cheryl Hogan. I wasn't sure who'd be able to come on a Wednesday night, but I didn't want to go. I didn't want to miss a whole week. I miss you guys so much. So, oh no, I'm sorry about that, Jody. At least you've seen how many problems I've had since I've been doing this. So don't feel badly, but I hope you get it fixed. It's so frustrating, isn't it? So, but anyway, oh, it's so good to see everybody. And Pat is here. So Melton gets to see quite a few pieces, people. And we really missed her. So and in fact, if the greater YouTube lets you put your um Etsy site or whatever site you use now to sell, go ahead and put the name, write it in as a message, and so everybody can check out your stuff. But as I was saying, Lisa and I have really fallen in love with English paper piecing. It is so portable. It is perfect when you don't want to have to sit and think and you don't want to have to sit at a sewing machine. Sometimes when by the time the evening comes, you just want to relax. So she said that she had gone the site that we bought the current um, paper piecing pattern from is called Yellow Rose Quilt Company. Yellow Rose Quilt Company. And I found that the price of the patterns is very reasonable. I think 12 or $13. And understand it's a lot of pages because you have to print out all of the template pieces on cardstock or whatever you like best. And so it may be 50 pages for the pattern. The good news is you get to download it and print it on your time period, on your time schedule. I just wanted to mention something too. When they first started doing PDFs that you could download, what a boon it was because we didn't have to wait for a pattern, paper pattern to come in the mail. We could go ahead and download it and start it right away. I did notice on one site, and I don't remember which one, it said the link for the PDF is good, valid for 30 days. So anytime you buy a pattern that you get to download, please double check because if it's only good for a specific length of time, you're going to want to print at least two copies, one to use and one to keep, or store, print down one to use and keep one on the computer where you know you'll find it. Every time I change laptops, I seem to lose some of my files. So just be careful with that because sometimes we download things we know we're not going to do right away, but we're afraid we won't be able to find them again. And in fact, this one, I am not going to start on this one until I finish my current one. So since I still have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, I do have 6 blocks left. That won't be before the new year. So this will probably be a New Year's project. But it's called Ruby Lane and it has really sweet blocks in it. And it looks like it's just two different kinds for this one. One of the things I love about this is it has a little bit of a stained glass look. And to me, they look like dogwood blossoms, which I love. And last year, when I thought about getting the Alaska fabric and then decided I didn't just want what I bought, I saved that fabric. It's going to be perfect for this. So that's all good news. So, anyway, I thought I would tell you that. And I don't know about y'all, but it's been kind of a tiring end of summer. I'm kind of frustrated about that. It seems, do you ever get a time? Um, do you ever get a time? Oh, yeah, we need to tell Meltem about um Quilt Squirrel. She has a YouTube channel now. So, but we have you ever, I don't know, I think it's just August. We had a cool week, which was wonderful. It got us excited to think about fall. Now it's back up in the upper 90s again. Oh, well. So, but I feel like I've been sitting down to work on my stuff, but I don't feel like I'm in quicksand. And I know part of that is because of the asthma. When you can't breathe good enough. So, hello, Anna Ryan. Hello. So nice to meet you. So, anyway, okay, so I talked about um, the English paper piecing, which I still adore. Last night, I took out the baggie that has the paper piecing for the individual blocks. And by this morning, I had everything, all the fabric cut out and glued on the blocks, and I'm ready to go. So that's exciting. What's probably going to take me a little while is I brought down a hair dryer and I have to show you what that's for. But it's going to take me a little while to hand sew them together because I don't want to pull the edges loose. What they said was if you wanted to machine sew these together, you'd have to come along all the paper piece edging and pull up the fabric, take out the paper on all the pieces around the edge, iron it out, so then you could machine sew it. I'm just going to hand do it. But I want to tell you, going through that, because you can't help but clip the little edge of the cardstock with your needle. Going through and sewing these together by hand, be sure to use a thimble. And just take your time because it's kind of tough. And when you have arthritis like I do, it makes it a little tougher still. So, and we're so glad, Anna, we're so glad to see you. Oh, is Joe here too? Oh, there's Joe. Hi, Joe. Joe, thank you for your kind comment when I had to postpone my show. It was very sweet. It was like, yeah, it's a lot of hard work, and sometimes I just want to just sit there and hardly do a thing. So thank you, Miss Joe. Have you shown the Undersea quilt behind you to the group? I'm paper piecing a storm. You'll have to send pictures. After the class in July, I was determined to finish my storm at sea. Well, not there yet. I'm going to have so many UFOs for years and years. But let me bring up my Undersea. Why? But before I bring that up, I have taken time because I thought, I hate starting a new Undersea landscape quilt before I have finished my color wash. And I've got to tell you, I love my color wash quilt. I love it, love it, love it. Now, do you start to see the colors starting to work? And you can start to see movement in the quilt due to the colors. So and in fact, tomorrow I'm going to spend all day working on this color wash, but I absolutely love it. I love the color coordinated little stars in the block. I even love how I've done partial blocks with where yellow is going to go into teal. I did a partial block right there. This part is teal. This part is yellow. So I'm just loving this. And I think the main thing is I can put a good audiobook on and just go to town. And I love at the bottom. Look how dark I got the blocks in the bottom. So I think, and in this corner, so I think it's going to come out very, very dynamic. Hello, Charlene, darling. Boy, is it good to see you. Now let me pull up our Undersea quilt. Okay, here it is. Okay, let's pull it out and look at it. Let me pull my lighting. And it was the picture for the placeholder. I just love this thing. And this is to give you ideas. We made this in the group about 4 years ago, I believe. And it's a fun way to use all kinds of trims, to use all kinds of ribbons and fancy yarns, anything on here, even netting from like onion bags. Whoops. See this netting right here? So it is so much fun. And of course, I love my whale. He's got the sweetest eye. He just sits and watches everything. But a lot of puffy three-dimensional fish. One of the kind of fish that I would like to really focus on in this, which is using fabric, colors, shades, textures to create an exciting fish. And yes, it won't be absolutely accurate. I invite you to have fun with this quilt and just play. Just play. So let me show you. Oh, I've got a couple more things to show you before we get into this. All right. You know that last week I did an at-home retreat. I did an at-home retreat because I had bought the month in July, I had bought some fabric. I got some books from Abe Used Bookseller, and they're kind of a clearinghouse. So they have a good you can go to Abe Books, ABE, and you can go to Abe Books and type in what you're looking to see, whether it's quilting, bobbin lace, whatever, and they'll bring up a list of books from sellers from all over the country. So I got a book. I forgot to bring it down. I got a book on Italian cathedral stone marble mosaic floors. I got actually 3 books, and they were all $5 a piece, I think. So I said, it's so funny. I think I've got all the fabric. I'm going to have this be my main focus all week. Although Monday and Tuesday I did a lot of cleaning so that then I could have the rest of the week. And I still did some cutting and sewing on Monday and Tuesday. But I didn't, you never get as far as you think you're going to. You know, first when you're cutting everything out and then you go to sew, you think, this is easy. I'll be finished in no time. But here is the center of the mosaic tile floor. Very easy to do. They wanted me to cut and sew together triangles. I have learned long ago that do not cut triangles and make them into half or quarter square blocks because you're going to be dealing with biased edges. And no matter what you do, it's going to be a pistol to work with. So I realized that when they asked us to cut 4.5-inch squares and then subcut them, I just left them the 4.5-inch squares, paired them with another, sewed down either side of a diagonal line and made 2 at a time. And you can't do 8 at a time because I wanted a nice variation in colors. But I had this. This is going to be more of a neutral center for the quilt. Okay. Because as much as the pattern I loved had neutral fabrics, I knew it didn't have enough color for me. So I think y'all might remember I bought a layer cake, which is 10-inch squares of wonderful Stonehenge fabric. And then I bought a charm pack, which they call chips, which is so cute, and of Stonehenge. And the chips mostly went into the center because there was one that ironed something that was more colorful, but it was backdated for everybody. So what I did is I bought the 10-inch squares. It had a lot of colors of Stonehenge fabric. So let me show you here. So you'll see I did all of my squares in the square with the mottled black and a nice beige, like I did on the sashing for the center, because it gives your eye a place to rest. And even though I don't have prints per se, they are made to look like stone or marble. And but look, there's even a pink in there. But I think this is going to make it a lot of fun. And if anyone wants to make this quilt, I'll give you hints because it is kind of tricky to understand what she wants. The main thing is it's paper pieced. And so that worked for me. And so anyway, and it's paper pieced on an angle. In fact, I'll show you on the back. And it says, so see how there's a slant? So when these quarter triangle squares, when these come together, it's pretty simple. And with the paper piecing, as long as you pin very well and stick it through both sides of the paper right on that seam line, it will work really well. And they recommended to press open the seams, and I said sure, because I figured she knows better than me. She has made, the woman who wrote the book, she wrote the book, and she made one. So anyway, here is the other. These are the two shortest borders. So they have you make the center grid first. Then they have you make the borders. Then next, I will cut the pieces out. They're odd shape. I'll cut the pieces out that go around the center. And then, or do they have me making? There are 4 medallions that I'm looking forward to making that will go around that center square. So I'm really looking forward to it. So I like the color. You remember I got the burgundy marble and some gray marble. And it's just a matter of when you make them, trying to, match your colors and because you make them in short pieces. So always kind of, have enough when you put those together. These are going to be probably the top borders, and the side borders are going to have a few more pieces. Then on either side of this border is going to be this triangle, inner border, outer border. And these I did with white and green, like I used white in the quarter square triangles, just to try to get some punch of color. I didn't want everything to be tans, creams, browns. So I thought, get something a little whiter to give some clean looking little pops of color. So that's what I've gotten done. As you can see, it's not the whole quilt. And what's the reason they have you do it the way they do is because you use the leftovers of the fabrics you've cut to make the medallion circles. And I think that is next, and I can't wait to do it. So it's not as hard a quilt as you think. It can be a little, it's like any paper piecing project. You just keep on plugging away, keep on plugging away. The good news is they give you the sizes to cut, so that I don't think I had any problem with anything being cut too small. Most everything was cut a square, then cut it diagonally once or twice, and then you have the size piece to make the borders. So I think it's going to be more fun and interesting to do the medallions because those shapes are really cool. So the main thing is take your time, press your fabric, starch it if you want, because starched fabric always goes together prettier. The round medallions, you take and make copies of everything. And that's another thing to tell you. Never use, never use your pattern don't cut out the patterns that are in the the pattern sheet that came in the book, because once you cut out the patterns, you or no one else can figure out what they're supposed to do. So I have my light board upstairs and I have paper, and I trace the pattern onto paper. And the circles, they have them divided into sections, so that it makes it very easy to put together. So, because, when you think about, oh, how do I paper piece a circle? And so I'm really looking forward to doing that. And I don't know, hopefully at some point I can get back and do that. So I had an interesting little moment, and I'm making sure I haven't missed anything. Both quilts are very pretty. Oh, thank you. It does look like stone, doesn't it? Thank you. I'm thinking I'm going to like that. But we went to dinner with my daughter and her boyfriend, Andy, who we love. And they're looking now at houses to move in together. They're going to blend families. His mother and one of her children will be living with her full time. So that's exciting. So we went out to have dinner. Well, the booths were kind of short booths. And so I had my purse beside me. Shouldn't have brought it in. Had my purse beside me. Mark slides in, and then I just felt like it was a little tight. So I did something you should never do. I took my purse, slid it down onto the floor. Now, normally, if I slide it to the floor, I put it over my leg. I put my foot through the long handle so that I can't leave without it. But this time I didn't. I just set it on the floor. So by the time we left, an hour and something later, guess who forgot their purse sitting on the floor? And it was kind of a darkish restaurant. But luckily, somebody just turned it in. I'm so thankful. But by the time we drove home, it was 45 minutes later. When I went to get out of the car, I went, where's my pocketbook? Oh my God. And so I called Becky and said, can y'all, because she lives 5 minutes from it, can y'all go get my pocketbook? I left it at the place. I'll call the restaurant, make sure they have it. Called the restaurant and they said, oh yeah, we have it. So I gave him Andy's name. He showed ID and he got it. Thank goodness. Nothing that I can see was missing. But that's a terrible feeling because it's like credit cards, cash, checkbook, everything is in there. IDs, insurance cards, you name it. It's like, oh, my life is in that. So I'm going to be more careful in the future. So you've only made one block. The pattern example has two different blocks, and I wanted to see how the first one looked, and I think I will make them all the same. Oh, good idea. That'll be easier. So that must be the storm at sea. Hi, Charlene, hon. So, oh, Joni loves the color. Good, Joni. I wanted to tell you, I've decided to add color, and I'm really going to make the medallions colorful. And because they showed some of the ancient 2,000 year old mosaics, and they had sky blue, dark red, gold. I mean, it was amazing the different colors. So, oh, that's a great idea. One time I actually put all my cards on top of the printer and printed a copy. And because that's always a good thing, then you can look back and say, yep, I've got everything. That's a very good idea. Oh, yes. Joe says, let me tell you, I remember in the 70s, you were not allowed to get your own credit card. If you had your father or your husband co-sign it for you. Really? Oh yes, that's one of my pet peeves. Okay. Now I think we're ready to get down to this. Um, I want to thank Betty Meisner again for giving us the Sue Carlson. Um, it was an on the road teaching fabric collage at the National Quilt Museum. And that was wonderful. You got so many images and them talking about what they were doing. It'll give you a lot of ideas about how to make because Sue Carlson, she's the one that made the crocodilius and the polar bear. She does most amazing collage animals, along with Jane Hayworth. So, okay, so now I have a piece prepared for dye fabric. But now let's say you don't have any prepared for dye fabric. Take a white. I'm using white because I'm trying a little technique I'll show you. But um, take your white fabric and wash it, what they used to call scour. So use hot water, detergent, no fabric softener. Wash it, dry it in the dryer. Sometimes I wash it twice. That takes the chemicals off of it that come from the factory. And then that way your dye colors sink in and work better. So here, let me bring you down here. So don't feel like you have to go out and purchase prepared for dye fabric. You really don't. Let me see if turning this off will brighten. Yes. So what I've done is I looked at one of the drawings I keep in my folder for my undersea landscape. I keep all these images to give me ideas. And so I was thinking, how do I want the terrain to be? And at first I drew this and went, oh no, that comes to over half of the fabric. So I X'd this line out, came back and shortened this. Then I put one on the other side and see how this is much smaller. And then a little lump in the middle I'm thinking about. Then by looking at pictures, I noticed that some of them had little lines and things that made this kind of look at the top of the top of the image. And then I looked at one that had rays of sun coming through the water. So I wrote down the ideas I wanted. And this I'm not going to talk about much yet because it's my big surprise. I had the whale in the other one. This one, I have a surprise in honor of our Jody. And I can't wait to uh to show you that. I've even ordered something to use on this because remember, you can embellish this with anything you want. This is yours to do as you wish. There are no rules. We do not believe in quilt police, anything like that. So now, I need to just kind of draw out. I want to kind of have an idea of how I'm setting this up. And just remember to do a nice wiggly line. Okay. So this is this side. Whoops, let me see. Can I turn it? Let me see. Whoops. Okay. Sorry about that. So here is this side because on a coral reef, and you don't have to do a coral reef, but there's so much more going on a coral reef. Now, let me move these paints. I'm so afraid if I spill these paints, it's going to be all over this pristine white fabric. So then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start going, whoops. Now, let me move the camera. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start going up this side. And, I'm even kind of making this even a little bit shorter. But let me go up and here. Okay. Now, so this is going to be your basis for your coral that has all the anemones on it and all of that. And I think it's good. I can always change it later, but by having some pencil lines, that kind of helps keep me focused. And then at some point, I might have something like a little pile of coral right here. And I'm thinking of putting my turtle somewhere around here. So I'm just going to draw it in. It doesn't have to stay, drawing it lightly. I'm having my object over here. And whoops, maybe I might want to get this up. I think on this side, I'm going to go up a little higher because my wonderful object that's going to be over here needs more room. So, and these in a coral reef, if the middle is sand, you don't have coral there. But what I'm going to do is give it an up close right here and have some little, like an enlargement of coral come right up here. So I might even want to just do little lines here. Make sure I put it on this paper just so I know where I'm going. Then what I did is I put some tacky glue in a container with some water and I mixed it around, and then I took straws, these straws, and I'm trying something. I don't know if this will work, but I'm trying it. I dipped the straws into the thinned glue and then I just dabbed it on the fabric. And I'm hoping these are going to come out looking like bubbles. Now, you don't have to worry because we're going to use some thinned paint at the end of this. We're going to thin some paint, some acrylic white paint, and we're going to put some final bubbles with the straws at the end. All right, so I've got some water. I bought myself a little set of these children's paint cups because I tend to paint wherever I can, and it's so easy for me to knock something over. Like I just hit this and bounced it a little. But these help me. It just it takes a lot to spill them, so this helps. All right, now I made some other colors, and what I'm so when what then once I did put the glue on here, I took a thin brush and kind of did some thin lines, broken lines along in an arc. I put some more glue up at the very top where it was really light with the sun coming in. I brushed glue on. Now, how it works, I don't know, but I thought I would try. And it was easier than trying to get out my it was easier than trying to get out my wax heater and try to do some waxing like you would with batik. And so then in these cups, let me show you. Oh, then I put a fan on this to have it dry. And so it's kind of hard and crispy. The reason I thinned the glue is so that it would actually sink into the fabric, not just sit on the top. Because sometimes when you put it on, if it just sits on the top, it's not, it'll still dye whatever color. Now I'm going to tell you what I'm going to use to paint. This is the chrome acryl. This is a textile medium. I have another textile medium here that's folk art. So I like using textile medium. It helps the fabric. It helps the dyes and paints absorb into the fabric, and it keeps the fabric a little softer. The paint that I'm going to use for this one is Dynaflow by Jacquard. And I already have a pack or 2 packs over here and this pack just for the future. But this is actual fabric dye and concentrated vibrant colors, a paint that acts like a dye, a great introduction for free flowing colors. I didn't want to use acrylic paint, which you'd have to thin a lot, because I want a kind of thin, delicate look with this. So I brought out all my colors, but right now the ones I've used are blues and greens. And I mixed it, not half and half. I mixed it maybe a quarter of textile medium and then a half water and half paint. And we'll see how they go. So I need to pull up. I'm trying it. Oh, and underneath I have two of my silicone mats so it protects my ironing board. And I ironed this fabric really good. Now I have a dot on it, but I don't think it's going to matter. I need to bring up, if I don't answer you right away, please understand it's because I'm pulling up an image to use. Whoops, let me see. I think I'm pulling up an image. Oh, come on. My battery might be getting a little weak. It's all fun and games until the battery dies. Okay, here's my image. All right, so now I can't see you guys, but I will come back. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and use this sponge brush. I'm going to put this here. Whoops, I'm going to put a little more water in this right now. And oh, one thing I meant to do, I wanted to mist the back. So I feel like if I dampen the fabric, it'll help the paint move. Okay. And those jacquard starter kits are one, yeah, that, whoops, I don't know if you're seeing it, but it really does. Having the fabric wet, it helps everything move. All right, so I'm going to put this color. Oh, see where the glue is keeping the sun rays coming in? Okay, let me make sure that my fabric is wet. And what you do is you paint this, you let it dry very good. Then you come in with a cover cloth and you iron it. And that should make the paint color fast. That's what you want. Although this is an art quilt, so understand that art quilts don't usually get washed. But if you want, after you iron it, you could go ahead and wash it and see if the glue areas, because I can see right here, it's making this area much lighter, which is just what I wanted. So this is where the sun comes in right here. And so I thought, have a blue-green kind of color. Now, this is going to, oh, see my little bubbles? My little bubbles are showing. Okay. So here we go. And just keep the fabric nice and wet, because that really does help the color move. But I thought about buying some fabric that would work good for this. And then I thought, you know what? I've done that before. What can I learn? And it's like, let's paint the fabric. Come on, we can do it. Okay. So now I'm going to put a little bit of this color. Whoops, I didn't spray it good yet down here. I'm going to put a little bit of this light color here on the bottom. The reason I'm doing that is because when the sun comes through the water and hits the bottom, it'll often make it a little lighter. And I'm going to go across where I'm going to end up putting that little area. Okay, now, so here we go. And this is going to be more like watercolor. So do remember that with me using the glue, it's to be a resist. I think you're able to see now how it shows the rays coming in, and you get a little slight feeling of this happening, because with this being like a watercolor technique, you remember that you kind of have to prevent the paint from going certain places that you don't want it to go. So I'm going to put some of this, I'm going to try bigger. Thank goodness for foam brushes. But I'm going to kind of come down with the light, give it some more of this motion, reinforce this motion with this light blue. And just going the same direction as the sun rays. So that's good. Then I'm going to come in here with some of this light blue. Now, I don't know how much the light blue will show up once it's dried, but at least I'm aiming for this, trying for this. All right. So that's pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some darker periwinkle blue in this blue paint. Now that I've got my light, in fact, you know what? I think, let me put some more, the sand, I'm going to put a little sand color, but it's going to be sand color through the bluish water tint. So I'm going to go ahead before I remix this light color, I'll put it, let me see. But while I've got that color, let me put it some places like a little bit here so that if I show little areas between the coral, you'll see it there. You'll see it. It just kind of like tints all of those colors. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to take a periwinkle. I'm going to try to darken this color, because normally I was using this pretty shade right here, which says turquoise, but I wanted it darkened. So I thought, let's try to darken it with a darker blue. I don't think that's going to give me the darkness I need. I wish this came in black, but I don't believe it does. No, it doesn't. But I think I do have a purple. I might try a little bit of purple to help darken that. I moved the purple over here because it had a little crack in the bottle and I didn't want to take a chance on getting it on the painting. Trying everything to darken this up. That's the only problem with using the textile medium, is it tends to lighten everything. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit more of this periwinkle, but I'm definitely getting it darker now. What would have been good is not to make so much, but I've never really done this to this extent, so I didn't know how much paint I would need. And I'm always worried about running out. Okay. So now I've got a darker blue. Yeah. And then, another thing is, if you want to get this to be darker, you can paint several coats on it, because that will make it seem even darker. And blend it in. I think that blending it is a good idea. There's a couple areas where, oh, nope, that dot came off. Okay. Sometimes I thought I found some dots of paint on here, but that won't matter. You can always put a fish in front of it. So while I'm putting some more of this on, I just wanted to tell you I've been also working on my bobbin lace. And just in case you think I make it look too easy, I have taken that one thing out 3 times. So, it's like anything else. Whoops, be careful. It's like any other art project, it takes, I don't want to get this on my blouse, so let me put it here. Okay. So, it's like any other art project. It takes some work to learn the techniques. Like right now, I'm having tension problems with the bobbin lace because I'm so worried that it's not going to, look as pretty, that I'm over tightening it, which then it doesn't look as pretty. So it's part of the learning curve. And I'm telling myself, do not worry. All right, I'm going to go over to this side a little bit. And that feels nice and wet here. But what you can see is I'm kind of framing it. Whoops. When you use these misters, I think when I stop squeezing it that it'll stop coming out. It doesn't, so be careful. But anyway, what I'm doing is creating the different colors. And I am going to go to get that blue as dark as I can on the very edges. So I'll put this on, and then when I've used up most of the paint, then when I go to add the colors in, it will really show because there's less paint to dilute the colors. Okay. Whoops. Don't knock over paint, Deb. All right. I'm hoping you can see where I am, but I'm just going out to the very edge and getting, and whoops, I'm not sure you could see, but I'm going out to the very edge. And what you do to make it darker at the edge, another trick is to take the brush and brush it towards the edge like this. Because when you stop the brush and bring it back, it leaves a little more paint at that edge. Now, I'm going to be putting all kinds of, whoops, coral and algae and all this, but it's okay. I still want to paint the whole background because that way, if I don't have something that covers it up, I've still got something there. All right, so this is looking pretty good. One thing I want to do now is I want to add a little touch of color, a little touch of yellow for the sunlight. So I'm going to keep this very thin, very thin. So here I put the yellow of the Jacquard Dynaflow. And then let me see. Use some water from this. And then kind of coming in here and wiping it off. That's the key to getting, whoops. That is the key to making it look more realistic. Is just take and wipe the excess off. And because it's wet, it will come right. And you can always, too, get a clean white cloth and really rub any excess so that it's just a light. Okay. All right. Then where I've got the lighter color down here, I'm going to put just a little bit of the sunlight down here. And sometimes I use these little wet wipes if you don't have a good type of rag for that. All right, I think I'm showing you pretty good. And then what I can do is let this dry, iron it, then wash out. Well, no, I kind of think I do want to get the glue out, but you can see now that it has given me some interest. And in fact, now I'm going to pull you back around. Well, let me do one thing real quickly. I want, well, I really want to do this, so I'm just going to take a little bit of time. Let me make sure that I have this nice and wet. Okay, let me do this. I want to get these edges dark, and I'll show you. Okay, this is just my background. Whoops, yellow went up. Thank goodness I started at the top because that yellow was still in the brush. So let me just quickly get some of this blue down. And remember, when you want the edges to be dark, brush your dye toward the edge. Now, if I can't get this dark as I want, I could put a couple of drops of acrylic paint in this, but only a couple of drops because I'm trying to keep this looking like watercolor. So I don't want a thick acrylic on this. Just brush it towards the outside. But I want to show you two more things. I want to do some of the sand and I want to do the dark edges. Okay. And you know what? Don't get all your strokes out because it is underwater. So that just helps with the little bit of realism. So now I've got very little paint in here. So now I'm going to come in here and this is some of the turquoise. Put turquoise. And then I'm going to get some of that darker periwinkle. Let me see. Here is the periwinkle. And I'm not going to add the textile medium. I will add a little bit of water. Okay. And let's see if I can get those edges to darken. Oops. Yeah, I think I need to add some more water to this, but I think it's at least giving you an idea. Now if you get too many streaks like that, come put some more water in the cup, and there you go. See how easy it is to move this paint, although to me it acts like a dye, but see how easy it is to move it as long as everything is wet. So I think you're seeing it. This is going to work to get the edges darker. And once you put it down, then just brush it towards the edge because that's where you want the dark to come. All right, so now I think I've given you a good idea of getting the edges and even getting the further down you go, get that dark, because the farther from the sun, but the farther from the top edge, the darker the water's going to be. All right, so now what I want to do, let me see. Whoops. Okay, pardon me there. I will get this fixed. I unplugged the camera, and at some point it'll become distressed. Okay, I think I've got it in the right place. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, let me bring this lamp over closer. I want to add some sand, and it's sand under the water. So that's why I'm really glad that this dye is translucent, because it's going to help me. And I am going to add a little bit more of the textile medium, because what I'm going to try to do here is make a tannish brownish color. So you know what makes tan or brown? Too many colors. So if let me see, I've got some orange in there. Now I'm going to try to add a little drop or two of green and see if we can't get some of that brown going. Okay. Then put some water in this. Aha. So see, we're starting to get that little, I'm going to put a drop or two more of green to really bring it to around to that brown color. So this I've used yellow, orange, and green, and pretty good, pretty good. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, that sand was right around in here. So let's see. Oh yeah, that's good. Now if they had a brown, it would be nice, but this kit doesn't have that. So now what I'm going to do is come in here with my wet wipe and just kind of blend it in a little bit. I wish it were more brown, but I might have to try to figure out. I think what I might do is get some acrylic and really, really, really thin it. But at least it gives me a little bit of color, to kind of give you an idea. And see how having the blue down first, it always has that little look of blue there. Be careful that your fabric, don't let the fabric make creases, because the dye will tend to stick in the creases. But I think this is good. So what now that I need to work on to get this finished is getting my edges darker and getting this a little more of a tan color, not so yellow orange. So I will be working on that. Yeah, I'm going to wipe a little off, because I definitely want it to look a little more tan. All right, so I think though I can't wait to wash out the glue. It looks like it's working on creating the dapple of the top of the water and the sunlight coming through. And I think this will work pretty good, but I need to come in and get some darker areas through here, darker areas through here. So this will be the highlight, and it'll be bookended on either side by darker colors. And I know how to do that. I just make up a paint with just the water and the darker colors, because I don't, this does tend to make it more pastel, and I'd like it a little bit darker. Now, you know what else I could do to make this darker and to make this tan? I just thought about it. I have ink tints, and you know I love ink tints because ink tints is a dye in pencil form. So that is, I will bring over my ink tints and help me get in some darker colors and get more of a tan here. In fact, if you hold on real quick, I'll be right back. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. I'm thinking this will work. Okay. Here. What color is this brown? This is bark. That's a little dark. Let me try this color. This is my smaller ink tints. Yeah, I think this is going to be better. Oh, because I don't want it really dark, but now let me take my brush and let me put a little bit more water on this. Wonderful. And ink tints dyes just the same as these jacquard dyes. It's just harder to use them for a big area. And you know, they even have on the picture I'm looking at, I'm going to pick up this bark. They have little indentations in the sand, which really make it look more like the sand. Okay, so let me try this, and then use this paintbrush. Seeing if I can and actually the over where the ink tints kind of softens and I can smudge it around, it adds a nice tan to what I've already done. So this way I can have, and if I keep, the more I rub them with the paintbrush, the more soft and blending they get. So I think that's going to work. Let me make sure you were able to see that. Yes, you were. So here we go. Now, when I go to turn this back around, I want to show you what image I was using as my inspiration. So let me turn off my camera, my light, I mean. Let me turn this around because we're going to quickly look at a few of your photos. We'll take more time Sunday because I'll be back Sunday. All right, this is what I was using as my inspiration. So you can see a little bit of the bluish tannish sand and see the little indentations. You can see where I need to get darker in here and darker in here and darker down here. You can see why I did the little streaks of sun and this little curve of all the little lines, which make it look, it's what the water looks like from above when you're below. All right. So I just wanted to show you that. Now let me go to your pictures. All right. Whoops. I'm coming back. Okay. Hi, Miss Polly. All right, here we go to your pictures. All right. Show and tell. Here we go. All right, Miss B sent us, she's still making her, thank goodness, making her wonderful cards. I love it. And for her, it's like art with a purpose, and it's beautiful. Plus, she gets to work with her art. Look at that. I love the Queen Anne's lace, little dark, and it looks, did she paint or did she use threads? It's absolutely beautiful. So thank you for sending that to us. We love that. All right. So now who are we going to go to? Miss Betty Meisner, who has this amazing piecework. I love it. And her wonderful dahlias. Love her dahlias. Ah, beautiful. And who else? Next is Miss BB, who did beautiful quilt. I just love that. Okay, let's see who else. Miss Bonnie. Oh, Miss Bonnie's been busy too. So she has been doing hexagons and she's really doing a great job. Whoops, let me bring them a little bit bigger. Yay. Look at those hexagons. Way to go. Okay. Now, let's see. She's been working on her wonderful, I guess this is cross stitch. She's going to be working on French knots. Here is a block with her block exchange. Here is her petal quilt. Very nice. It's actually going to be a table runner. Lovely. She finished one of her red work in black dragons. Beautiful. Look at her dragons. They're so cute. Another exchange block. And then an idea for anyone who wants to make string up beads and painted cans. That's wonderful. That she saw that somewhere and thought we would like to see that. Yes, we would. Okay. And Miss Charlene, pardon me. And she did this wonderful Storm at Sea block. I love that. And when she has time to do more, I know she'll send us some photos. Very good. That was her practice block. All right. Now, I don't think I have anything new. Nope, 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 nope. Okay, well, whoops. Oh, I didn't mean to close it out that much. Hold on one second. Here we go. Whoops. Okay. Great. And now we'll go to Debbie. Oh, I love her Undersea in honor of tonight's show. And look at sweet Chloe. What a doll baby. All right. Now we'll go back. And Jody. Jody has been busy. Now, one thing I wanted to show you that I love so much. This is called Bacon of the Sea. Is that just the cutest thing? This was an early sea quilt for Miss Jody. And look at the octopus. I loved it. I've always thought about that quilt. I've loved it forever. And then look how far she's getting on her The Quilt Show block of the month. Love that. And here is one of her quilts that won the first place. I just love it. Way to go, hon. Okay. Now, let's see. Okay, we'll go back to show and tell. Julie. Yes, Julie's wonderful, wonderful daylily. Look at the sunflower with all that texture. Just gorgeous. Thank you, Miss Julie. Okay, go back. Whoops. Come on. Oh, come on. Okay. Right. And Miss Mary. Miss Mary has been crocheting socks. Yay, Miss Mary. I can't even imagine trying to do that. I am so proud of her. Yay for crocheted socks, Miss Mary. Okay, now show and tell. Let's see. Meltem. Here she is. And I'll show you all her things. She's been a busy lady. I love this. And it works really good practicing shading. I love it. Then look at this wonderful dessert. It looks like pine cones to me, and it's a pastry with syrup. And then look at this beautiful quilt. I love the part that she hung it up in. I love that. And there, I love it. She went on vacation recently. Oh, here's some placemats she did. Aren't they creative? She's really developing her special voice. Beautiful. A wonderful purse she made with the folded edges. Look at that. Look at this. So don't forget. Oh, this is from her vacation. Isn't that beautiful? What a wonderful rotunda. And she found this poor little kitty who was stuck in a car engine. And she made sure she worked for hours to gain the trust of this kitty and then got it to a group that took it to the vet to heal it. Isn't that sweet? And here, look at this seaside vacation. Beautiful. Oh, look at that. That looks like a very old house. And the beach with her dog. I love that dog. And then evidently they roasted corn on the beach. So I'll make it a little bit bigger. Come on, a little bit bigger. What? Not that big. Look at that roasted corn. So evidently they have a fire on the beach and roast the corn. Isn't that wonderful? Whoops, go back one. No, I thought I missed one. Maybe not. Look at that sun over the beach. And what a good dog, just waiting patiently. Look at the water. Isn't that pretty? What a wonderful vacation. Oh, look at this. A little lagoon. Isn't that pretty? Oh, look at that. And here are some bookmarks from her site that you can instant download and print them. They're so cute. So thank you, Miss Melton. I hope I got everything because it's lovely. All right. And now, Mitty. I was tickled to hear from Mitty, who has been working on postcards. Look at this. Isn't that wonderful? I love that people now are enjoying very mindful stitching and just beautiful little works of art. Look at the flowers here. Beautiful. On our Groups IO, there is an offering of a Craftsy hand embroidery class starting September 1st. Sign up for free. So, okay. And they'll send you notices in your email. every day when September 1st comes. Patricia Fry, she has, I love this. So cute. Look at this deer. I guess it's a reindeer. That is so cute. Look at that. So thank you, Miss Patricia. Let's see who else. Miss Polly. Oh, we've got to do that basket soon, Miss Polly. Look at that wonderful thread basket and her wonderful bed runner weaving. That is gorgeous. Okay. Let's see. I think that's all of our new ones for now, and a couple old ones, and we will take a little bit more time on Sunday's show and tell. So let me get back to y'all. Whoops. Okay. I think we're a little seasick now. Is that supposed to go with our underwater landscape? I don't think so. Okay. So now let me come back to see y'all. And I hope you enjoyed all those wonderful works and a trip from Miss Melton. How fun was that? So, okay. Oh, thank you, Miss Mary. There's our Miss Mary. Julie's here. Wonderful. Okay, yes, send me an email. Miss Polly, don't let me forget to do that thread basket because I've had people ask me about that. So that's a must. So, well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here, being patient with me when I wasn't breathing well, and joining me here on Wednesday rather than Sunday. I will be back Sunday, and we will carry on with our Undersea quilt. So by that time, I'll have painting finished. It'll be washed and ironed, and then I will have my fabrics and my yarns, everything picked out. So we go, okay, where do we go next? So thank you so much for spending this time with me. Thank you about my Italian quilt. That is fun. I want to get back to it. You know, the problem is I have more things that I want to do than I have energy to do them. So I will see what I can do. Oh, that's wonderful. No, you know what? I love Charlene. I love that it'll be a little different. There's Betty Meisinger. But Meisner, pardon me. My pronunciations are all off tonight. But thank you for joining me, and I will see you Sunday, and we will pick back up on this. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I wanted to make sure to spread the painting back out. Don't ever, when you're painting fabric, don't fold wet fabric on itself because the colors will transfer. So, and you want to be able to keep it just as you painted it. So I will probably put this aside tonight and come back tomorrow and do some more work on it. But it was fun, and I hope you enjoyed it. And now the rest, to me, I don't really consider that work, but it's more work than probably the rest will be. I feel like the rest of it's going to be playtime. So thank you so much. See you Sunday, 3 p.m. live New York time, but you can always watch it on replay. So have a good weekend. Is this Labor Day weekend? I don't know. Well, I'll better find out. All righty. Y'all take good care. Thank you for joining me. You're wonderful. Bye bye, everybody.